The Boy King's Revenge, a tale of ancient terror. What if I told you that opening one tomb in 1922 unleashed a chain of deaths so bizarre, so perfectly timed, that even the most rational minds began to wonder if something supernatural was lurking in the shadows? This isn't fiction, mate. This actually happened. And by the time we're done here, you'll understand why, even today, nearly a century later, people still whisper about the curse of the boy Pharaoh. Picture this. You're an archaeologist in Egypt. You've spent 7 grueling years digging through sand and stone, chasing whispers of a lost tomb. Your funding is running dry, your reputation's on the line, and then you find it. The untouched burial chamber of a teenage king who died over 3,000 years ago. You crack it open, and suddenly, everyone around you starts dying in the most peculiar ways imaginable. That's exactly what happened when they opened King Tutankhamun's tomb. And trust me, once we start connecting the dots, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Now then, let me take you back to November 4th, 1922. Picture Egypt's Valley of the Kings, that legendary burial ground where pharaohs were laid to rest with their treasures. The sun's beating down mercilessly, and British archaeologist Howard Carter is about to make history. He's been searching for this particular tomb for 7 long years, following nothing but rumors and ancient whispers. That afternoon, his Egyptian laborers struck something solid. Not just another rock, but carved limestone steps, 16 of them, leading down into the earth. And there, stamped into the ancient seals, was a name that would change everything. Tutankhamun, the boy king himself, the 12th pharaoh of Egypt's 18th dynasty. He'd become ruler as a child and died mysteriously around 18 or 19 years old. Most experts thought all the tombs in that valley had been plundered centuries ago, but here was proof that one had remained untouched, packed with golden treasures and secrets that had been waiting in the darkness for over 3 millennia. The discovery sent shockwaves around the world. Headlines blazed across newspapers from London to New York. But alongside the excitement came something else entirely, something that would turn this archaeological triumph into one of history's most chilling mysteries. Because almost immediately after that tomb was opened, people started dying. And not just any people, mind you. The very people who had been closest to the discovery. One by one, they began falling victim to the strangest, most inexplicable tragedies you could imagine. Lord Carnarvon was first. He was the wealthy aristocrat who'd funded Carter's entire expedition. Just months after stepping into that tomb, he was dead. The cause? A mosquito bite that led to blood poisoning. Now, I know what you're thinking. People die from infections all the time, right? But here's where it gets properly weird. On the exact night Carnarvon died in Cairo, every single light in the city reportedly went out. Complete blackout. And back in England, hundreds of miles away, his beloved dog let out this long, mournful howl, and then dropped dead on the spot. Just like that? Coincidence, maybe. But that was only the beginning. George J. Gould was next. American millionaire, railroad tycoon, the sort of chap who could afford to visit Egypt as a tourist. He toured the tomb in 1923, just having a look around like any wealthy visitor might. Within months, he was dead too. Developed a fever after his visit that just wouldn't break. Died in the French Riviera of all places, far from the dusty tombs of Egypt. Then there was Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, the radiologist who x-rayed Tut's mummy before they unwrapped it. Revolutionary stuff at the time. using modern science to peer inside ancient wrappings. But soon after the procedure, he fell mysteriously ill. No clear diagnosis, just another sudden death that left doctors scratching their heads. Arthur Mace, one of Carter's key team members, helped write the official account of the discovery. Strong, vital man in his prime. But within a year of entering that tomb, his health began deteriorating rapidly. Developed pleurisy and pneumonia, had to leave Egypt and return to New York. Never recovered. Dead by 1928, just 5 years after the tomb was opened. And then there was Richard Bethel, Carter's personal secretary. He was literally the second person to enter the burial chamber, right behind Carter himself. Found dead in his bed at a posh London gentleman's club in 1929. Cause of death, suffocation. No explanation ever made sense. But here's where the story takes a truly dark turn. Bethel's father, Lord Westbury, heard the news of his son's death and reportedly cried out, "It's the curse of the Pharaoh." 3 months later, the old man threw himself from his 7th-floor window, left behind a suicide note that began, "I really cannot stand any more horrors." And if that wasn't tragic enough, on the day of Lord Westbury's funeral, the hearse carrying his coffin struck and killed a young boy on the way to the cemetery. Now, I ask you, what are the odds of that? The deaths kept coming like dominoes falling. Prince Ali Kamel, Fahmy Bey, an Egyptian aristocrat who'd visited the tomb, was shot dead by his wife in London's Savoy Hotel. Hugh Evelyn White, a British archaeologist on Carter's team, took his own life in 1924, left behind a note written in his own blood saying, "I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear." These weren't random tourists catching a bit of flu. These were scientists, aristocrats, seasoned travelers, people who'd faced danger before and lived to tell the tale. Yet one by one, they were dropping dead under the most bizarre circumstances imaginable. By the early 1930s, the death toll had reached 13 people, all connected to that one tomb, all dead within a decade of its opening. The press had a field day. Naturally, they called it the curse of the pharaohs, and every new death just added fuel to the fire. But perhaps the strangest incident of all happened on the very day Carter's team broke into the tomb. He'd sent a messenger back to his house for supplies. Routine stuff, nothing dramatic. But when the poor fellow reached Carter's front door, he heard something that made his blood run cold. A faint cry, almost human-like, coming from inside the house. He pushed open the door and froze. There in Carter's birdcage was a cobra, and clutched in its jaws was Carter's pet canary. Dead now. Egypt has plenty of cobras, so you might think this was just unfortunate timing. But here's the thing that sent chills down everyone's spine. The cobra is the royal symbol of ancient Egypt. You've seen it on the pharaoh's crowns in all those old paintings, right? It's called the uraeus, and it represents divine authority. More importantly, it's supposed to strike down the pharaoh's enemies. James Henry Breasted, a respected Egyptologist working with Carter, reported the incident officially. This wasn't just campfire gossip. Arthur Weigel, former Inspector General of Antiquities, said people were taking it as a full-blown omen, as if King Tut himself had sent a warning from beyond the grave. And you know what? Maybe he had. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, Aubrey Habut, never even visited the tomb. But being family was apparently enough. He had a rare eye condition that was slowly blinding him. One of his doctors suggested the problem might be connected to infected teeth. So, in a desperate move, he had every single tooth in his head pulled. All of them. Didn't fix his vision, but it did give him sepsis, dead within 5 months of his brother's passing. Dr. Georges Benedict from the Louvre visited the tomb in 1926. Just a scholarly visit, nothing more. Collapsed on the very steps leading to the burial chamber and died right there on the spot. Aaron Ember, an American Egyptologist and friend to several team members, hosted a dinner party at his Baltimore home. Just a pleasant evening with colleagues. Less than an hour after his guests left, fire broke out. He could have escaped, but his wife begged him to save one thing: his manuscript, the book he'd been working on for months. It was called The Egyptian Book of the Dead. He went back for it and never came out. He, his wife, and their maid all perished in the flames. Even people connected to the story in the most tangential ways seemed cursed. Louis Wiggins wrote a play about the tomb's deadly reputation. Shortly after finishing it, he died too. According to rumor, his death was preceded by an ominous phone call that predicted it. Sir Bruce Ingram, a friend of Carter's, received a gift from the archaeologist. Not just any gift, mind you, but a paperweight made from a mummified hand. The hand supposedly wore an ancient bracelet bearing a warning: "Cursed be he who moves my body." Ingram's house caught fire. After rebuilding it, the place was hit by a flood. By this point, you've got cobras in bird cages, citywide blackouts, dogs howling and dying, fatal fevers, mysterious shootings, house fires, floods, and a string of deaths so bizarre they'd make a horror novelist blush. All connected by one common thread: King Tutankhamun's tomb. The newspapers went absolutely mad with the story. Every time another name was added to the list, the headlines grew darker, the speculation wilder. People started genuinely wondering if disturbing the boy king's eternal rest had unleashed something ancient and angry into the modern world. But here's what makes this story even more fascinating. The idea of tomb curses wasn't some modern invention cooked up by sensationalist journalists. Oh no, mate. This belief goes back thousands of years to ancient Egypt itself. You see, to the ancient Egyptians, tombs weren't just graves. They were sacred, sealed-off zones designed to protect not only a body but a soul. And that protection, according to their beliefs, sometimes included supernatural guardians with very real power to strike back at intruders. Written curses found inside Egyptian tombs were rare, but they did exist. And when they showed up, they weren't subtle about it. Most appeared in tombs from Egypt's Old Kingdom, roughly between the 3rd and 8th dynasties. These weren't just about keeping grave robbers away from the treasure. They were meant to protect ritual purity, ensure offerings kept flowing to the deceased, and prevent anyone from cutting corners with the sacred rites. Take the tomb of Kentika, for example. It's in Saqqara, one of Egypt's major burial grounds, dating back to the 6th dynasty, carved right into the stone as a message that's anything but friendly. If you enter this tomb in an impure state, there will be judgment. I will seize your neck like a bird, and you will be filled with fear. Pretty vivid, wouldn't you say? Then there's Angtifi, a provincial governor during Egypt's chaotic first intermediate period. His tomb warnings were even more elaborate. He basically told future rulers not to mess with his resting place or anything connected to it. The coffin, the offerings, none of it. If they did, he warned that the god Hymen would unjust turn his back on them, actively reject their offerings. For ancient Egyptians, that was catastrophic. Without divine favor, your afterlife was toast. Angtifi even cursed the violator's lineage, saying their heir wouldn't inherit. Instead, their heir would belong to Haman. That wasn't just meant to scare thieves. It was aimed at anyone in power who might tamper with the tomb for political or religious reasons. Amenhotep's tomb in the Valley of the Kings contained perhaps the most chilling series of punishments ever recorded. Theft from the tomb could mean drowning at sea, burning in fire, starving to death, losing all wealth, being denied proper burial, and having your bones rot in obscurity. That's like hitting every fear an ancient Egyptian could possibly have. No money, no afterlife, no legacy. Complete erasure. Senenmat, powerful advisor to Queen Hatshepsut, kept his curse simple but brutal. His lifetime shall not exist on earth. That's it. Clean, direct, terrifying. Not an elaborate punishment, just ... absence. You're here, then you're not. So, when Carter's team opened Tut's tomb and people started dying, the mental connection was easy to make. Tomb plus disrespect equals very bad things, indeed. And here's another crucial detail that ties everything together. The excavation wasn't exactly a purified ritual. It was archaeology, not ceremony. There were no priests chanting, no cleansing rites performed. If ancient Egyptians believed that entering a tomb in an impure state could stir up spirits or divine wrath, then, in their worldview, everything that followed Carter's team starts to make disturbing sense. But you know what's really interesting? Some of the most respected figures in archaeology and popular culture didn't just dismiss these events as coincidence. They took them seriously, very seriously indeed. Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, has been in more tombs than most people have been in shops. He acknowledges that ancient Egyptians believed in magic and carved warnings on their tombs to keep the living out. He's even quoted one that says, "Anyone who dares break a tomb's seal shall meet death by a disease that no doctor can diagnose." Hard to shake a line like that, especially when you hear what happened to Huaz himself. While working on artifacts from Karanis, tragedy followed him closely. First, his cousin passed away. A year later, his uncle. On the third anniversary, his aunt. 3 loved ones lost in 3 years. Then came the nightmares. Hawass had moved to mummified children from the Valley of the Golden Mummies to a museum. Every single night after that, he dreamed of them. The nightmares didn't stop until he also moved the mummy of a man he assumed was their father. There's more. He was knocked unconscious by an electric shock inside another tomb. Another time, he discovered stunning statues in a tomb belonging to a man named Ihe. Right after that discovery, he suffered a heart attack and an earthquake struck, preventing him from even announcing the find. While Hawass is careful to say he doesn't believe in curses, if I'd had even half those experiences, I might carry around sage and holy water, just in case. Marie Corelli, a best-selling novelist of the early 20th century, played a huge role in shaping the curse narrative. Think of her as the equivalent of a chart-topping celebrity author today. She was deeply into spiritualism, belonged to the Theosophical Society, and had quite a following, Queen Victoria included. When Tut's tomb was first opened and the media frenzy began, Corelli was right in the thick of it. She wrote a public letter warning that anyone who disturbed a sealed tomb would face dire punishment. She even cited a book called The Egyptian History of the Pyramids, which talked about hidden poisons and invisible suffering befalling anyone who broke a tomb's seal. That letter went public just as the world was trying to make sense of Carnarvon's death, and it added serious fuel to the fire. Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle weighed in. You might not expect the creator of the world's most logical detective, Sherlock Holmes, to be involved in spiritualism. But Doyle was a type who believed the dead could communicate with the living. When Lord Carnarvon died, Doyle told reporters in Cairo that the death wasn't mysterious at all. To him, it made perfect sense. It was the curse. He believed ancient Egyptian priests created what he called elementals to guard the tombs. These weren't ghosts in the traditional sense, but spiritual security systems, artificially created spirits designed to do one job: protect the tomb. Doyle didn't just believe in them, he respected them. He said he wouldn't go poking around in tombs himself because, in his words, there are many malevolent spirits waiting there. Now, when the man who created Sherlock Holmes tells you he's afraid of ancient curses, you have to wonder if he might be onto something. So far, we've got legendary warnings etched in stone, eerie deaths surrounding the tomb, respected voices taking the supernatural seriously, and a string of coincidences so perfectly timed they'd make a conspiracy theorist weep with joy. But hold on. Before we start planning seances and buying protective amulets, let's hear what the skeptics have to say. Because, for all the spooky stories and spine-chilling coincidences, not everyone was convinced that King Tut was striking down intruders from beyond the grave. First and most importantly, there was never any curse written inside Tutankhamun's tomb. That famous line people love to quote, "Death shall come on swift wings." To him, that touches the tomb of the Pharaoh doesn't actually exist. Howard Carter, the man who literally opened the tomb, made it crystal clear there was no inscription like that anywhere near the burial chamber. No ancient warning carved in stone. No ominous hieroglyphs threatening doom. Just rumors. And where did those rumors come from? Mostly newspapers. Mate, this was the 1920s. Remember, the press was having an absolute field day with the idea of an ancient curse. Lord Carnarvon's sudden death just months after the tomb opened was front-page gold. Journalists ran with it, spinning eerie tales and throwing mystery where there wasn't any. One paper even claimed there was a tablet at the tomb's entrance bearing a deadly inscription. Problem is, no such tablet ever existed. Some of those stories were probably written out of spite. Several reporters were denied direct access to the tomb and its discoveries, and they weren't too pleased about being locked out of the biggest story of the decade. So what do you do when you can't get inside? You make up your own version and spice it up with ghostly threats and ancient revenge. Carter himself, while deeply respectful of the tomb and what it represented, thought the whole curse idea was complete nonsense. He never mentioned anything supernatural in his official reports. His writings reflect concern about disturbing the dead from a moral standpoint. Sure, but no fear of magical retaliation. Here, here's something most people do. Unrealize. The mummy Eskers wasn't even born in Egypt. It showed up in fiction decades earlier. Louisa May Alcott wrote a short story in 1869 called Lost in a Pyramid, where you guessed it disturbing. A mummy goes horribly wrong. Bram Stoker did his own take in The Jewel of Seven Stars in 1903. The whole cursed tomb idea was already baked into popular imagination before a single artifact from Tut's tomb saw daylight. So once you sweep aside the headlines and ghost stories, you're left with the crucial question: if it wasn't a curse, what on earth was causing so many deaths around the tomb? That's when science stepped in with theories that might be just as unsettling as any supernatural explanation, but for completely different reasons. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!